Hello, good afternoon, Daphne.
Obesity, or war on, rather, not against it, but war on obesity. And so in 2010, I had an awakening, if you will, with myself, weighing almost 300 pounds, 271 to be exact, and looking in the mirror and saying, how did you get here? Like, I still have chill bumps right now as I share this story, but saying, how did you get here? And not so much how did you get here with the weight, but how did you get here in your mindset? Because here's the thing, weight is simply a reflection of what's going on the inside. And I had to sit with myself, if you will. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing at the time, but I had to sit with myself, if you will, and identify how I got there. And so it was a number of things. I was actually climbing the corporate ladder. I was in real estate management. I came in at the entry level, and I was on a high track to reach executive, and I did that by the time I retired in 2016. But in that process of trying to reach the highest heights in corporate America, I began to reach the lowest of lows in myself. And what I mean by that is I began to give everybody else my best, and I was left with the rest of being lethargic, the rest of being tired, the rest of being just done. Like, literally, I was on this hamster wheel and didn't even realize it. I would go to work at 9 a.m. and leave at 12 a.m. consistently. And over time, my body began to give in. And so when I had this awakening and I began to come to myself, I began to identify ways that I had gotten here. I began to dig myself out of that ditch. Like, literally, I dug myself in this ditch, and I hadn't realized it until I was in it. And so I began to dig myself out of this ditch. And one of the things that I said to God was that I wanted something that would change the rest of my life. I didn't want a quick fix, right? I wanted something that I could go to, because I had seen too many times where people would lose weight and they would gain it back plus. And so I didn't want that for my life. And as I began to dig deep, as I began to peel back the layers of the onion, if you will, I began to see that the deficits, if you will, went all the way back to my childhood. It went all the way back to relationship with my father. It went all the way back to relationships with men. It went all the way back to just a plethora of things. And I had to begin to deal with it. God revealed to me that I had buried some things alive. Oftentimes in the Black community, and I'm gonna call this out because that's what it is, we are taught to be strong. Like, what is that literally, right? We're taught to be strong, like, don't let anything bother you, get your focus and go. And while that's good, it's incomplete. Because what I realized that I was doing is that I was willing my way through life based upon being strong. Oftentimes, strong people will their way through life like it's a push-up. No, you have to heal your way through life. And so God began to show me the areas where I willed and it still had a heartbeat. I'm going to slow down because I'm so passionate about this that I can go real fast and get real hype. But I'm going to slow down for a second so you can hear this. There were some things that I had buried alive in the back of my head. It still had a heartbeat. And so when things began to come up that triggered it, I fell back to that deficit. And so I began to give those things its proper burial. Literally, you got to kill those things in order to really heal. And so as I came out on the other side, and I'm cutting some things short because of time, but as I came out on the other side, 14 months later, 103 pounds lighter in weight, but millions of pounds lighter in my mind, millions of pounds lighter in my spirit, millions of pounds lighter in my soul. And I remember as I was growing through this journey, God telling me, it is not just about you. Because like us all, you know, we have our adult tantrums. You know, there are times we don't feel like it. Does it take all of this? And I had an adult tantrum with God one day in the midst of this process. And he said, it's not just about you. And I said, well, who is it about, God? Because right now, it's just me and you. And so I continue because it's my heart's desire to please God in the process of losing this weight and getting in shape, mind, body, and spirit. And as I came out on the other side, 14 months later, people began to come to me and say, help. Now, mind you, I had no history of weight loss, of wellness. My entire family was obese. And so it was not a surprise that I was too, because here's the thing, you don't know what you don't know. And so when you see that your entire family lives one way, that's what you do every day. And so because I had no knowledge of it, and people began to come to me and say, help, I was so willing to help, if you will. And as I began to dig in and see that it was not just about weight for them too, that it was about mindset, that it was about wellness, that it was about them burying things alive as well, I said, it's time to declare war. Now, I said declare war on obesity, and oftentimes people limit that, unfortunately, to the physical, but I'm talking about obesity in your mind. What is obese? Obese is something that is enlarged, whether it's your heart, whether it's your organs, whether it's your soul, it's enlarged, and it was not intended to be enlarged. And so when I say war on obesity, I'm not just talking about the physical. I'm talking about the mental. I'm talking about the spiritual. I'm talking about your soul. So that's what war on obesity is for me.
Oh, that's so good. I'm just telling y'all right now, people pay good money to get just 15 minutes with this woman. And there was so much richness. I just really want to unpack what you said, because war on obesity, I love that you said, what is obese? It's something that's enlarged, that's expanded. And I heard someone say the other day on a podcast I was listening to that it is extra pounds of broken commitments to yourself.
Yes.
And it talks about, just that those broken commitments, the lack of integrity, the lack of kind of self-love and appreciation. And oftentimes I think why I struggle with obesity, because obesity is the symptom of a deeper problem, deeper issue, just like a headache. We treat the headache or we treat obesity, but the root of it might still be there. It could be something completely different. If you never get to the root, you don't get to it. And I think in our society so much, especially with Western medicine, we focus so much on treating symptoms that we never get to the root. And then in our spiritual journeys, we're doing the same thing, which is why I did not prefer or like that term war on obesity. I think the other issue for me was I started to mistakenly identify as obese, right? It's like when you go to the doctor, they don't say you have obesity, they say you are obese.
Yes.
Right? They don't do that with cancer. They don't say you are cancer or cancerous. They say you have cancer, you have high blood pressure, etc. But it's something about the obesity where it starts to become an identity, and you start to create even personalities around it. You dress around it, all this stuff, when it's a symptom of a bigger issue. That's why I appreciate your work and your ministry so much, Tasha, because you help people address, like you said, the mind, body, and spirit to get to the root cause of it.
Yeah.
So it makes me think of, how can you then love yourself through this process, or accept yourself, so to speak, through your process? Do we even want to accept ourselves? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because oftentimes people will see people that are overweight and they automatically go to them not loving themselves. Listen, I loved every piece of that 271 person. So that's a misnomer that society has, that, you don't love yourself because you are this size. It's not about loving yourself, right? It's a number of things. Like I mentioned, it could be learned behaviors that simply need to be unlearned, literally, right? What I believe the issue here is, it's not self-love, it's self-integrity. It's self-integrity. Do you keep your word to yourself? And so that again was another eye-opener that God had to show me. He said that you keep your word with everybody else except yourself. How disrespectful is that? He said, how disrespectful is that? And so as I began to grow in this journey, and I stopped and I paused because I wanted you to hear grow. Oftentimes people just go through. No, you have to grow through the journey. Whatever journey you're in, you need to grow through it and not just go through it. Anybody can get to the end, but who are you once you get there? And so it's not about self-love, it's about self-integrity. When we begin to hold ourselves to the same commitments that we give to everybody else, we'll change. We'll change. And I had to do that myself. I had to begin to not reschedule my commitments to me. My time of wellness was my time of wellness. If people wanted to come in, take me out somewhere, they knew that it had to be between a certain time, either before or after my wellness time. And I say wellness specifically because people limit fitness to the gym, and it's not. It's not just the gym, right? And so I say wellness intentionally because I have time when I do my wellness. I have time when I do my mindfulness. I have time when I do my meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are two different things, and that's a whole nother webinar. But I have time specifically when I do these things, and I put my family and friends on notice. This is the time that I'm doing this, so they can not only respect it, but then they can also help me. Oftentimes we leave our family out of the loop, right? And so they come in and they get us off track because we never told them what we're doing. And so they become a distraction. So we have to notify our friends and family of what we're doing. But to get back to your question, it's more about self-integrity and self-love. I don't believe, and although there are some people that may have a love challenge, I don't believe the majority of the people that are overweight have an issue with loving themselves at all. It's about integrity, the word that they don't keep to themselves. And here's the thing, it starts off small, and before you know it, it's large.
That's so good. I love that you said it starts off small. So what is, kind of leads into the next question, what is maybe one small thing that anyone can start today to begin to develop that self-integrity?
Yeah.
Rebuild it.
Yeah, and so one thing that they can do is to literally sit with where they are right now. I don't want you to go out and buy nothing. I don't want you to have somebody to come and do something with you, but sit with yourself and locate where you are. Like I mentioned earlier, I literally looked in the mirror. I didn't look at the mirror. I looked in the mirror, eyeball to eyeball, and I said, how did you get here? Out loud. How did you get here? And oftentimes we need to take the time to find out, how did we get here? Not even just, again, in obesity, but in life. We are in places we know we should not be. We know that we are behind where we're supposed to be. How did you get here? And so taking the time to say, how did I get here? And then waiting for the answer. Not what you want to hear, but the true answer. And then begin to unpack there. I don't like to have people just run to some things, because if you run to some things, you'll miss the main thing. Let's get to the main thing. Let's cut to the chase. And so we can do exactly what God says, is to restore the time. We're not trying to unpack what we did. Listen, that's done. It's history. We're here now. How did I get here, God? And help me get to where I need to be without any further delay.
That's good stuff. And it takes me back to when God asked Adam and Eve in the garden, where are you?
Yes.
Like the very first question, they messed up, where are you?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
it's like
so
trusting God enough to know that you can just tell him. You know, you ain't got to lie. You don't have to cover it up. That's what we do. We take fig leaves. We try to cover it up with accomplishments, achievements.
Hello.
We run and hide. We don't talk to them forever. We try to ignore the problem on our own because of shame or what have you. But just answer the question. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the work that I do, I see so often people are so unkind to themselves because, and I get it, because, you know, oftentimes they say that you are your own worst critic. Well, I don't say that because I am huge on words. I am my best critic, and being my best critic, I am kind to myself. So what you're where you are today. So what? Let's get on to tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. Again, what you've done is history. Dwelling on that ain't going to change a thing. So be kind to yourself in the process. Acknowledge it for sure, but okay, what's next? That's what I tell my clients. Next. We did that. Next. Let's keep it moving.
Literally just like that.
Yeah.
Literally just like that. And I can't stop staring at your hat. Awaken the warrior within. How appropriate for this conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of my clients years ago gave me this hat, and as I was getting dressed, I saw it. And I said, oh yeah, this is perfect for war on obesity.
Yeah, yeah. So I ask everybody who I have these conversations with, what does fit and fab, being fit and fabulous, mean to you?
Yeah, and so fit and fabulous to me means that you are exactly what you say. You are indeed fit in your mind. You are indeed fit in your soul. You are indeed fit in your spirit. And because you have the trifecta, the three, you're fabulous. That's what fit and fab means to me.
That's good. I love that. And then how can people stay connected with Datasha Mayo?
Yeah, and so across all social media platforms for the wellness side of the physical body, Body by Tasha with an O, Tosha. And then for the business and personal development, which is my absolute heart, because it's all about personal development for me. If you develop your soul, the rest will be in full control, literally. And so to reach me in that vein is Datasha Mayo on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. Datasha. And so there's a difference in the spelling for one reason. When I went to brand Body by Tasha, there was already another Body by Tasha. And so to make the distinction, I chose an O instead of an A. So I don't want y'all to think, oh, she's crazy. She's spelling name two different ways. It was intentional.
Now you know, because I didn't know that either. I just picked.
It was intentional. Yeah.
So I just want you all to know that Datasha Mayo will, we're working her. We're putting in some requests. She might make an appearance at Fit and Fab Weekend Retreat. But either way, she's connected to me. And so I want you to stay connected if you're interested in learning more, and you should be interested in learning more about Fit and Fab Weekend Retreat, because we are going to address topics like this. This is just a snippet.
Yeah.
Right? We barely scratched the surface, and there's so much that I would love to unpack in our conversation. We just don't have the time. Y'all got to get back to work. We're on a lunch break, but.
Yeah. And if I could just add a little bit about Fit and Fab Weekend, like it is an entire weekend of refreshment, right? Refreshing your soul. It's an entire weekend of awakening. Oftentimes, you don't know what you don't know, and it has to be awakened. It has to be awakened by people that have already walked 10,000 miles ahead of you. And so you indeed want to get there. You want to get in environments that speak to where you're going, not where you've been. Oftentimes, people go to the same conferences over and over and over and over again, but it doesn't speak to where they're going. In addition to that, it doesn't give you practical tools on what to do. Fit and Fab Weekend is going to do that and more. How do I know? Because I spoke there 2 years ago. I don't sanction anything that does not have the fruit to go along with it. You guys want to get to Fit and Fab Weekend. Like literally, I already know that it is going to blow your mind, literally.
Come on here. Absolutely. Absolutely. I put the link to it in the comments. So go check it out at fitandfabweekend.com. It is an intimate and exclusive and elevated experience. It's only 10 rooms available. We've already reserved 4 of those rooms. 10 rooms available. So make sure you go check it out. And if you have other questions, you can email me at info@fitandfabweekend.com and hit us both up, and we'll be happy to share. So with that being said, Tasha, you have any time for one question, maybe from the group if they have a question?
Absolutely.
Daphne or Nicole, do you have a question? You can either take yourself off mute or put it in the comments.
I don't really, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I don't really have a question, more just a comment. I appreciate so much what you said about self-integrity, because for me, that's just a confirming word.
Yeah.
I heard a couple, maybe like 2 weeks ago. So for me, that's really resonating in my spirit. So I just appreciate the confirmation that it's not so much a food problem, but it's a problem with my own integrity towards myself. And the whole look in the mirror and really figure out where I am and how I got here. I've asked myself that question, but I don't think I've ever really delved in deep enough to figure out how I really got to where I am in this body. So I get you kind of flipping that switch so that I can dig a little bit deeper today.
I love it today. Yes.
Here, so thank you, and I appreciate it. I do. I'm so glad I took the time out for my own wellness and called in and got on. So I'm very appreciative and very thankful to both of you.
You are welcome. My absolute pleasure. I love it. And I love that you are executing today. Why wait for tomorrow? Today. I love it.
Absolutely. That's so good. Oh, Daphne. Daphne just said, thanks for the fruitful lunchtime dialogue. Awesome.
You're welcome, Daphne. Way to invest in you guys. Like, we invest in so many things other than ourselves. So way to take time out on your lunch break to invest in you, and then taking the nuggets that you've learned, that you've heard, and applying them today in whatever way. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be application. Don't let what you've heard today fall on deaf ears. Like, it is no coincidence that you guys decided to call in. And so there's something that you heard today, execute. And I guarantee you, the movement that you make from that one thing will open up so many other things. It's like the stump of a tree. I've never seen multiple stumps, but I've seen multiple branches. And so developing that foundation will have the branches growing every way they're supposed to be. And guess what? With no delay. God will restore. So take what you heard and execute.
Execute. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you again, Tasha.
You're welcome.
For investing in us and this group and having this rich dialogue. We'll continue the dialogue down the line. We'll also continue that Fit and Fab weekend, and have a wonderful rest of the day, and have a great weekend. Friday.
Yes, you too.
All right. Bye, everyone. Ladies.